welcome back to my channel. This is Wishblend reporting in. This is part 7 of the update for the fan-based project Evolution An EDRPG Addition. Enjoy. Okay, so weapons. These are like the new weapons and stuff, and also rebalancing some of them. So weapon size table. So we've got short, medium, long, extra long and heavy. So we've got the size, the weapon, the medium range and the notes. So short weapons will be the auto pistols, laser pistols, heavy pistols. No minimum range, you can use literally point blank if you wanted, but you can only use on one hand. Medium range weapons will be the SMG, assault beamer, laser carbine, shotgun and the arc launcher. No medium range or special notes. Now long weapons need to have a minimum range of 2 meters, so if you're under 2 meters you cannot use this weapon. So that's assault rifle, laser rifle, light machine gun. Well, technically you could use it, but you have to use it like as a club because you're prepared to aim and fire, because literally the length of the barrel is too long. Extra long range, well, extra large will be rare rifle or sniper rifle, which should basically be a range of 4 meters, but they're heavy, so you need to have like a strong carry for them. So the heavy weapons are like chain gun, missile launchers, plasma cannons, flamethrowers, etc. They're 4 meters, again medium range and also heavy. So so that's the basic gist of making it more realistic on weapons and that, and the sizes, when to use them or what type to use. Okay, new status effects. A few new effects have been added to spice things up a bit. So ignite. Your target is on fire and takes 1d10 damage per turn. Can be extinguished by dropping and rolling. This is treated as a knockdown. So the old Molotov cocktails or flamethrower, or you shoot a fuel barrel nearby, they get set on fire. That's the ignite status effect. Bleed. A bleeding target takes 1d10 damage per turn, and it stops at an odd number. So the way that will work is someone gets shot with an arrow or a bullet through the leg and their leg's bleeding out. They roll 1d10. If it's an even number, they take that amount of damage for that turn. On their next roll, it's still bleeding. So they roll a d10 again. If it's an even number again, they take that amount of damage. On their third roll, if they basically roll an odd number, then the bleed effect stops. Pretty simple mechanic, and I can see it being a lot of pain for certain people, but it's just a new effect. Toxin, basically poisoning. So regular toxin damage deals half a d10 per turn and requires a medicine check of 8+ to cure. Regular toxin is non-lethal. Weapons that deal 2 types of damage, like kinetic and toxic, will apply the toxic damage when the kinetic part manages to pass through armor and damage health. Attack that deals pure toxic damage, like toxic vomit from the Burok, won't get through an armor with the toxic immunity trait. So basically, for the toxic effect to activate, it has to break skin and damage the actual health. If it doesn't damage the actual health, it's not effective. Stun. So that stun weapons usually deal non-lethal damage. They can stun a target for 1 turn, which is treated like a knockdown and disarm effect. It's not effective against mechanical targets. Disable is caused by EMP weapons and is treated as a stun effect against mechanical targets, but it does not affect cyborgs. Freeze affects mostly armor, If an enemy is infected, a follow-up attack can shatter the armor on a natural 10 plus to hit. So, like you throw some liquid nitrogen, bottle, canister or something, a person now getting by, it shatters, the armor freezes over. If it freezes over if you manage to get a hit. If the next attack they roll a natural 10 or higher, like a 9 or a 10, the armor will then shatter. You've artificially created a weakness, and then you exploited that weakness. I can see that being a lot of fun. Corrosive affects targets that they will then take an additional 2d10 damage on a turn. Damage armor on a natural 10 to hit. So, short version, if a target gets corrosive damage, they will take 2d10 damage on their turn. If the person doing the attack manages to get a natural 10, it also damages the armor, like eats away at the armor. So it's also going to weaken it and makes it more dangerous. So toxins, these can be used with weapons that can deal toxic damage instead of dealing damage. These files are applied to the brain effects. As you see, it's like a to-do list over on the right. That means Lazarus is going to be working on that section, but hasn't done it yet. So we're going to move on to the next bit. Plasma weapons. Plasma weapons are a new and unique type of energy weapon introduced with the Odyssey update. They deal a large amount of energy damage caused by the extreme heat of the plasma. So due to their nature, they have reduced range and require expensive ammo. Each clip for plasma weapons costs 15,000 credits. 1,500 credits. I misread it. Now, you've got the normal medical weapons here, from the heavy pistol, assault rifle, shotgun and rifle, to the XV2 MX Plasma Lance. Basically, unless it's on tripod mount, the firer basically will get knocked over on the backside. And then you have the Manticore Housemore chain gun. That is a plasma chain gun. It does 2d10 plus 20 damage. Only has 4 rounds ammo. But it also has a heavy burst mode which does 6d10. It costs 30 million credits. But if you need to make a statement, well, that is the weapon. I need a drink. One sec. Yeah, getting a dry throat here. But yeah, that is the plasma weapons. So, heavy damage, expensive, but if you've got the money, go for it. That brings us into a new addition, arc launchers. The arc launcher is a side project of the SUSE Plasma Accelerator developed by Vito Marx. Arc launchers ionize a conical area in front of them to make it conductive. They then discharge a high voltage pulse that can potentially jump between multiple targets. This weapon will always hit the closest target within range first. Imagine it's like a cone in front of the user. So arcs. The lighting up an arc weapon jumps from target to target with the maximum distance listed in the notes. Arcs can jump up to 2 times and can hit up to 3 targets. For each jump, the arc deals less damage as if it's hit within the next range category. This uses the new Divide 5 rules for dodging the effect. If you hit a target at 6 meters, for example, the arc will deal short range damage and jump 4 meters to another target where it deals a medium range damage. Then it jumps again 4 meters to a third target and deals long range damage. Cooling cells. A weapon with cooling cells still has infinite ammo like an energy weapon, but requires a reload action every few shots to cool down. Flash. If this weapon hits, all targets in the listed area have to make a check against a flashbang fatal or suffer from the effects. So you got a common arc launcher, so you get a feel for it, followed by a prototype high voltage arc launcher, followed by the Thunderbolt arc launcher. Now you got a different range damage here, and you got this one here, the Thunderbolt does 40 damage with the flash effect. 10 million to buy it, but I think it's worth it. So the prototype high voltage arc launcher. This is the first prototype developed with a much higher output voltage. Due to this, the arc radius was too unpredictable, which could lead to the user taking damage from their own weapon. This made it unfit for the regular consumer market. Some of these prototypes were stolen and made it to the black markets. A Thunderbolt arc launcher. The Thunderbolt uses a thick beam to focus the ionized fields to discharge electricity at a single target. The impact creates a bright flash and a deafening sound which can incapacitate everything in a close vicinity. So, might be fun for some players to get their hands on there. Okay, so we're moving on to the reworked rail rifle. Rail rifles have received a complete makeover. They are no longer just ranged rifles, they are now more like anti-material rifles that can deal a ton of damage, and the downside of being hard to use in high mobility combat. A rail rifle is now an energy weapon. In ED, the railgun is 66% thermal and 33% kinetic with a hit scan projectile. Its description mentions a trail of molten metal, which is considered energy damage. There are far more kinetic weapons which shifts the favour too far towards them. Railguns have a high armour penetration, but most armourers will able to absorb a majority of its damage since it was just a 3 to 30. And even a bulletproof vest can stop a bad roll. It is now an extra large weapon. It is described as 2 meters long, so running around swinging it like an SMG just does not fit. Using a heavy weapons rule for its handling also provides better balance for damage buff. Damage has been doubled. 3d10 kinetic damage was just not impressive enough when even the most basic assault rifle can have a 4d10. Or a heavy pistol can have 3d10 one-handed. Even the most common laser rifle is a better choice for the sniper rifle due to the rarity of the good energy armour and the high constant damage. Rail rifles now ignore light cover. They fire a supersonic projectile which melts while it leaves the barrel. Being stopped by a simple crate or tree just does not fit. So what we've got here is the 4 different rifles, the common one and 3 rare. So basically the Centauri quickfire one basically fires multiple munitions and can move and fire in the same turn. All of them do 6d10 damage apart from the Surabaya monobine rifle which has 8d10 damage, and that is a monster. But it'd be funny if somebody rolled the 8d10s and got like 2s or something on all of them. It'd be funny. So moving on, we've got sniper rifles. Sniper rifles are long-range rifles that have been made mostly obsolete due to modern armour and far more accurate laser rifles. Militaries rarely use them and instead rely on laser rifles or rail rifles to do the job. Hunters and assassins still favour these weapons when they need to land a precise hit. So we've got a few little tweaks here, I think. So you've got the Gal Spec 95 sniper rifle, the predecessor of the Gal Spec 109 sniper rifle. This earlier version used a larger caliber and doesn't have the burst fire mode. It was slowly replaced with a much more flexible 109 sniper rifle over time, and most of the stocks have been sold to private contractors. So you've got a night vision scope, so great for shooting in the dark. The G55 burst rifle was a prototype that never made it into full production. It uses 5 barrels and several micro thrusters to fire a burst of projectiles with high accuracy to maximise the chance to hit the target. Due to the weird and complex design, field maintenance was made impossible and replacement parts expensive. The blueprints were stolen in a pirate raid, and now the weapon is sold on the black market. The AM-85 anti-tank rifle. Calling this weapon rifle is more than an understatement. It's a 60 kilogram cannon that fires 30mm rounds which should have been mounted on a vehicle. Enemies hit by this weapon will get knocked down too, and are thrown back 1d10 meters. This weapon has to be fired using a bipod. Firing the weapon while standing will brightly use its arms with 2d10 damage, and knock down too. On a natural one to hit, the user receives 1d10 damage. Highly modified cyborgs with Type 4 arms and legs can fire this weapon while standing. Now that is what you need to take out someone with prejudices. Really nasty weapon. 50 damage for a single hit. So yeah, a single shot rifle. Nasty. Okay, moving on to the melee weapons. So this table includes a few existing weapons with alter stats to rebalance them to make them more useful. Swords were superior in any way with no rollback. To give other melee weapons a bit of use, the finesse was overall reduced and some new features were added. Throwing weapons are a new type of ranged melee attack. So let's dive in. So we've got normal club batons, knife. So the knife there gives a +3 sleight of hand to conceal. Axe hammer gives a knockdown on a 9 or 10. Spear does a +2 damage if used two-handed, but it has a 4 meter range requirement. Chainsaw again causes bleeding wounds for 1d10 per turn, so that's a bleeding effect. Stun knuckles, non-lethal weapons, but they do a knockdown on 9 or 10. Power fist, can't perform grapple, but do self damage on 1. So basically, it's like really powerful, like gloves or something that constantly do 2d10 damage. Going down, you've got the Imperial Energy Sword, Federal Nano Knife. So you've got the Nano Sword, but sometimes it's a bit too big. Where if you have a knife, you can basically conceal it and then flick out and stab type thing. Injector knife, basically, it's a knife with a channel in it to basically push an injection through. So you stab somebody and inject some. It's illegal, but yeah, if you need to get that person down, might work. So Assassin's Blade. Basically one-handed, +3 sleight of hand to conceal, +3 to assassination difficulty. So if you want to go the assassin route, something there. Mining sledge, again it's something like to knock them down. Razor whip, basically does explosion damage and you cannot use a strength bonus. So basically we've got some descriptions here. So stun knuckles. High-tech knuckle weapon contains small energy capacitor that releases a high voltage shock to hit to incapacitate enemies. Power fist, formal tool for mining operations exosuits. New versions where they use by underground gangs to teach someone a lesson. So yeah, big heavy punched weapon. Imperial Energy Knife, developed with the Imperial military, uses the same technology as the laser carbine, but by sheathing the blade into a thin layer of energy. Used with its energy later, targets reduced to 0 will not bleed out. The Imperial Energy Sword, similar to the Energy Knife, the sword is mostly used for officers or some special op units. The razor whip is a microfilament wire with a small weight attached to the tip, makes it extremely dangerous for both the victim and the user. I can understand why. A thin way, you can hardly see it, you get the weapon out. Exploding damage. Each rolled 1 on a damage dice deals 1d10 damage to the wielder. Repeat until no more 1 is rolled. Each roll 10 on damage deals an additional 1d10 on target. Repeat until no more d10 is rolled. So it's a double-edged sword, or whip in this case. Federal Nano Knife. Since every soldier needs a strong knife, this blade was sharpened to the absolute maximum to cut through most materials with ease. Injector knife, again, a highly illegal blade contains several microscopic source holes on its blade and a small compartment that can be loaded with toxic capsule. This assassin blade is a modern ninja weapon used to stab, slash and throw. A thin wire attaches a knife to the wearer's wrist, which allows the retrieval after throwing or dropping it. It's only rarely sold on black markets. Mining sledge is a heavy hammer. It's a tool from the past that was formerly used by slaves in mines. Due to its heavy mechanisms, the user is prone to injuries, even death. But slaves are replaceable, right? Today it's been replaced with easier, safer handheld mining lasers. Put that there. Exotic weapons. Okay, so we have bolt cutters and bows, because sometimes a gun is just too loud or you can't sneak it through. So where we go in? So we've got throwing knives, spears, nano throwing knife, bolt casters, hunting bows and tech bow. So the bolt caster is a modern version of the hand crossbow that launches small bolts. The tech bow is a modern version of the bow that, with a high-tech pulley system and modern materials, add half your strength damage, the strength bonus to the damage. So it just brings the bows and that back into the modern age. So the bolts and arrows. So these here, the bolt caster, bow, and the 2 bows, plus normal bows and arrows, can be upgraded with these arrows. So what have we got? Each pack will contain 5 arrows or bolts. So you've got steel tipped, which does kinetic damage, shock does energy damage, incendiary basically creates a bright light on impact or ignite. Toxic arrows basically implies a toxic, so you can do a silent assassin. Yeah, pull back the bow and arrow, fire the arrow, and if you get a hit, applies toxic. Broadhead, basically heavy wide arrows, so creates bleeding on 8+ to hit. Flash be a flashbang grenade. Tracer contains basically, so that's a way to track a target remotely. You can basically shoot a tracer arrow and it leaves a tracer on the target, be it a person or a ship stroke vehicle. Whistle arrows, they're basically special arrows with special channels filter through the actual arrow to whistle as they actually go through the air. I've seen videos of them on YouTube and that, so that's the thing. Explosive arrows, that's pretty much self-explanatory. It's an arrow that basically explodes on target. EMP, again similar to the explosive arrow, but it's just EMP damage instead of explosive damage. So moving on to upgrading equipment. So upgrading suits weapons can be done in 2 ways. I should mention here, now these are for the Odyssey upgrades and beyond. The original spacesuits and weapons in the core book and supplements can't be upgraded unless it says so specifically in this project. We've basically kind of evolved some of them, but not all of them. So yeah, upgrading suits weapons can be done in 2 ways. You can either use a simple credit system, or if you want an exploration scavenger themed campaign, a material based system. You can upgrade any common weapon you can buy or find. Rare weapons already have special modifications, so you can't upgrade them further. Only the new suits can be upgraded. That's what it was about. The suits can't be upgraded, but the weapons possibly can. Like you might be able to put a scope on the old weapons type thing. Armors can be upgraded by using materials or credits. If your game's focus is not on scavenger or exploration, you simply use credits. So short version, you'll see in a minute if I remember right. So yeah, here you've got different materials you can get. So you can either go out, scavenge, buy the materials and save money to the upgrades, or you can just fork out the money to upgrade. So there's two options there for GMs and also players. So materials are basically list of the materials you need for the upgrades. This is the type of material, description and location of what station you'll be able to find it in. So you can go there and actually buy it, or you just find it out and about while on your adventures or as rewards. Suit upgrades. Now if you don't want to spend credits to upgrade them, you can use the materials. You have to go out and find all of these like for upgrading. So the simple suit materials are here. We basically made it uniform so it's easy to see it at a glance. And the kinetic weapons upgrades, you need these. The energy weapons need these, and the plasma weapons need these. All nice and simple. Upgrade from 1 to 2, you need 1 of each item. 2 to 3, you need 5 of each item. 3 to 4, you need 10, and 4 to 5, you need 15 of each item. We couldn't think of an easier way to sort it out. So, suit modifications. So, suit modifications are special enhancements that you can add to the Odyssey suits, which is the Artemis, the Maverick, and the Dominator. You can customise them to your needs, but each modification can only be added once. So if you get like 3 slots on your suit, you can't have 3 of the same object. You can only add them once, 1 per thing. So you can have 3 items. For example, you can have added melee damage, enhanced tracking, and improved battery capacity over a suit, but you can't have like 3 melee combat or 3 faster shield regen. So that's the basic restrictions for that. Each modification will cost 500,000 credits. So it's a money intensive thing, but its option is there. Weapon modifications, similar. So common modifications can be added to almost any weapon without using an experimental slot. Switching the mode on a laser weapon requires an action of reloading. So for example, you've got a scope, night vision scope or thermal scope. Some of them will basically be combined, others will be individual. So like here, the way it's going to work, it'll be like, first thing you do is you buy your scope. Then you buy the night vision scope. So it's 20,000 minus 5,000 means you have to pay 15,000 to get the night vision scope. So then those two will then become combined. So you get a night vision scope with a +1 to hit, so you can see in dark and also use +1 to hit when not moving for an attack. The thermal scope would be 150 minus 20, yeah, and so on. All the way down to the smart scope and the advanced scope. I mean, it's pretty much self-explanatory in that, and if you're not sure, you can always give us a ping and ask us for clarification. The HUD link will basically it's used like for cybernetic HUD. So if you have cybernetic eyes, you can now aim your weapon using the HUD and all the modifiers you have on it using the scope. Underbarrel shotguns, underbarrel grenade launchers, well, sorry, not underbarrel shotgun, normal shotgun, and the underbarrel grenade launcher. The underbarrel grenade launcher is basically for different weapons and now, but we've got it just the once. Bayonet has a small blade in front of the rifle, so it basically turns the rifle into like a spear attack if you're using the underbarrel slot. Noise suppressor, obviously it's silencer. So EM lasers, heat and stun, exactly basically what it says on the tin. Then you got the experimental modifications. Experimental modifications are custom engineered improvements that require an upgraded weapon. If the weapon is not upgraded, you can't do these modifications. It needs a slot to basically have it fitted in. So again, they'll cost 500,000 credits per use, but can only use one of them per slot. You can't have, stack them up. So you've got auto masking, basically makes it even more silent. Faster handling, basically faster, move around. Headshot damage gives a +1 to critical hit range. Reload speed, scope upgrade, and so on. Melee modifications, so you can basically add an upgrade for modifications like blade catcher, you get a +1 to parry. Balance design, you get +1 while dual wielding, and so on. And that brings part 7 of the update to a close. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen so far. There's still plenty more to come. Laters.